on consumer protection. Ms. Solís has been a key negotiator in strategic files such as the Critical Raw Materials Act, the Industrial Emission Directive, the Packaging and Packaging Waste Regulation, and the Waste Framework Directive. Always with a strong focus on industrial sustainability and European strategic autonomy. Born in Asturias, a traditional industrial region in northern Spain, Susana Solís is an industrial engineer from the University of Oviedo and holds an executive MBA from IE Business School. And in addition to her political career, she has more than 20 years of professional experience in various multinational companies in Germany and Spain, where she acted several executive positions. Please, Ms. Solís.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Welcome, everyone. Good morning. This is the European Parliament. This is your home. Before we begin, I would like to warmly thank all the people and organizations who made this event possible. A special thanks to the European Federation of Geologists, especially to Pablo Núñez and Anita Stein, who for her excellent support, and to my team. Without them, it will not be possible. And thank you as well to all the organizations, all the speakers, and the audience joining today. Your contribution will be key to shaping this debate, and I'm truly here to listen, to learn from you, and to take action to bring your ideas and proposals into my work in the European Parliament. Let me now turn to the topic that brings us together today, the strategic importance of urban mining. In today's world, marked by geopolitical instability and rising global competition, secure resources within our own borders is not optional, it is essential. As Mario Draghi said, the circular economy is not just an environmental ambition, it is a pillar of competitiveness, resilience, and sovereignty. As we move forward into the green transition, we must not replace fossil fuel dependency with material dependency. That's why we need to extract more from within our borders, build reliable global partnerships, and develop a circular economy where materials stay in use for long as possible. And this is where urban mines plays a crucial role. It may not replace traditional mining, but it will be an essential part of the solution. And an example I like to give is that the largest mine on the 21st century is not underground, it is in our cities. So we must imagine a Europe that not only imports raw materials, but also recovers, transforms, and leads with its own circular model. Initiatives like the Urban Mine Platform already show what is possible, providing real-time data on secondary raw materials across Europe. But to unlock the full potential of urban mining, we must first address the barriers standing in our way and overcome a number of structural challenges. First, data. We lack reliable and consistent data on material stocks in our cities. Without that, we cannot plan recovery strategies, prioritize investment, or justify public action. We need comprehensive mapping, digital tools, and harmonized European databases that make secondary resources visible, standardized, and therefore valuable. This data must fit into the digital product passport and support the development of waste tracing systems. Second, we face regulatory barriers that continue to treat waste as a liability instead of a resource. Outdated definitions, fragmented rules, and legal uncertainty hold back innovation and investment. We must make regulation an enabler, not an obstacle. Third, rules for the collection, sorting, and classification of secondary materials are still too fragmented across member states, and I'm sure you will discuss this during the debate. Finally, we must improve coordination between the EU, national governments, and local authorities, because implementation happens on the ground. Urban mining needs to clear mandates, shared responsibility, harmonized protocols, and certified assessments. In parallel, we urgently need to improve collection systems, especially for high-value streams like e-waste, batteries, and vehicles. And above all, we must invest in infrastructure and innovation, from advanced sorting and clean separation technologies to large-scale urban mining hubs capable of recovering strategic materials. Europe must lead in building the industrial backbone of a truly circular economy. Of course, political will alone is not enough. We need legislation that delivers. And let me briefly highlight the key pieces of legislation that are shaping Europe's circular economy. We start with the Critical Raw Materials Act, which requires that by 2030, at least 15% of the EU's annual consumption of strategic raw materials must come from recycled content. To complement this, the eco-design regulation addresses the problem at its root, product design. It now will require products to be more durable, repairable, and recyclable, making circularity a core principle of manufacturing. Looking further down the value chain, the upcoming end-of-life vehicles regulation could be a turning point, especially for the recovery of critical materials from electric mobility. And in parallel, we are awaiting also the revision of the Waste Electronic Equipment Directive, which will be crucial to ensure valuable materials in electronic waste are recovered and not lost. But to bring all these efforts together and truly scale the circular economy, we need a broader framework. And this is the ambition of the upcoming Circular Economy Act, expected next year, and a flagship package which aims to close material loops and to redefine waste as value. And let us not forget, circularity is not just about metals or electronics. It also includes industrial and chemical byproducts, such as those found in sectors like fertilizer or construction. Now, all of this work will be meaningless without the people who make it happen on the ground, the geologists. They are key to unlocking the potential of every city and turning it into a strategic resource hub. Geologists help us identify, map, and assess secondary resources, from buildings and landfills to e-waste and industrial residues. We often say waste is the new resource, but without geologists, we wouldn't know where that resource is, how much of it exists, or whether it can be safely recovered. They apply the same rigor used in traditional extraction to analyze material flows, support recovery strategies, and develop urban mines. Just as we certify mineral reserves, we may soon move toward certified urban deposits, and geologists will be central to that process. And finally, to make all of this happen, we must foster cooperation across all levels of governance. And this is a great opportunity to bring together science, industry, and policy. Urban mining and the broader circular economy it supports will only succeed if we break silos and build true multi-level cooperation. So let me thank again each other for your presence and commitment. Your knowledge, your projects, and your vision are what give real substance to the work we adopt here in Brussels. And as I would say, circularity doesn't happen in theory, it happens on the ground. So we have one chance to design an economic model that no longer depends on distant resources, but on what we already have. Thank you so much for being here, and looking forward to hearing this.
Thank you very much, geologists. So a smooth transition to David Giovanni, President of the European Federation of Geologists, also project manager at UNICALCE Sustainability. David has more than 20 years of professional international experience, mainly in the minerals sector. He is Italian certified professional geologist, EFG, and fellow of the Institute of CRMA. David is currently working as a natural resource and sustainability manager at UNICALCE Europe, one of the most important companies in Italy in the sector of industrial minerals. As an independent expert, he has collaborated at different private organizations in Europe, including the EIT, Raw Minerals and European Commission. David is since May 2023 the president of the European Federation of Geologists and engaged with leadership roles in other organizations of civil society in Italy and abroad. David, please go ahead.
Thank you and good morning everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here today, and I think we are a great team. I mean, we are here very early in the morning to discuss about urban mining, and so this is a motivated team, and it's really an honor to be here. And by the way, it's also, I can remember the last time I spoke in the morning without a coffee first. So please forgive me if I will miss some parts in the speech. So as the MEP Susana Solís pointed out, today's debates come as European Union is preparing the Circular Economy Act that is expected at the end of 26. This act will build on the Critical Raw Material Act, the Eco-Design Sustainable Products Regulation, and also the revised Waste Framework Directive. And together, they lie the foundation of the competitiveness for the circular economy. And this will enable the use of secondary raw resources and will remove part of the fragmentation across Europe. Urban mining, indeed, is Europe's largest untapped mine. We can say that. And according to a press release from German Environmental Agency, more than 50 billion tons of anthropogenic materials accumulating in buildings, infrastructure, and consumer goods exist across Europe. And the example that Susana Solís mentioned, the urban mining platform developed by different organizations, including Geological Survey, is a great example that shows the potential of this material. But the key practical point for urban mining is understand if today is already economically viable, and also for us as geologists, understand where geosciences can help. Geologists can help on three crucial key areas. The first, already mentioned in my previous speech, is let's call it urban subsurface intelligence. So we cannot know what we do not map. So to enable urban mining, we should treat our cities as geological systems. We need to build geological models to identify the anthropogenic deposits. Urban geological models should fit into the digital product passport and waste tracing systems that are foreseen in the Circular Economy Act. And our maps and data as geologists can ensure that anthropogenic stocks are registered, tagged, and accessible through digital infrastructure material tracking across Europe. A second area of contribution that we can bring as geologists are the predictive recovery models for the secondary resources. We know urban materials are heterogeneous and time dependent, and this is a weakness from economic valorization point of view. But emerging tools as machine learning, remote sensing may help us to correlate historical data as land use, demolition data, and in situ measurement, and forecast concentration of minerals in urban strata. So this is something we can use techniques from exploration mining as geostatistics to develop the predictive models can help us to estimate the location and the grade of secondary resources. And then there is another area very important where geologists can contribute. And I summarize it as a certified urban deposit and trust professional. So the absence of legal definition of urban deposits and the lack of certified protocols make it hard for investors to quantify the value of secondary resources. So in traditional mining, there is a rigor quantitative estimation of reserves following international standards for as Geocode and Pan-European Reporting Code, PERCode, and the assessment of competent persons are essential tools to ensure technical, environmental, and ethical compliance. The same should be for urban mining. So just as mineral reserves are certified under international standards, urban deposits should also follow protocols. Urban deposits should be quantified and certified, and these require qualified professionals, trained geologists that are embedded to territory recognized with titles such as Eurogeol and accountable for the professional under professional and ethical codes. So, as a conclusion, what I want to say and share that geologists can really contribute to a vision in which every city becomes a strategic geo-hub and geo-resources, and this can help Europe to meet the targets set in the Critical Raw Material Act and in the Green Deal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm already the first speaker this morning. I have the honor to introduce Silvia Paparella, General Manager, RemTech Environmental Technology Hub. She's a geologist, General Manager of RemTech Environmental Technology Hub, as I said, in Ferrara, Northeast Italy. She's international public-private network on topics of remediation, regeneration and sustainable development. She's coordinator of the Italian pavilion of COP28 in Dubai and COP29 in Azerbaijan, and at the G7 in Italy. And she's also a member of the Honor of Merit of the Italian Republic. Thank you very much. Prego.
Thank you very much. Sorry for my voice. Particular thanks to Susana Solís Pérez for being here and for working together this morning, to David Govoni, to Anita, and of course to all of you, to work together, to start to work together among the urban mining and circular economy. I'm so honored to be part of this discussion on those topics. The context in which I come from and I represent is the environmental technological hub of RemTech, powered by a specialized community on the topics of remediation, regeneration, and sustainable development of territories. How we foster and how can we contribute to support innovation and collaboration in sustainable resources management? First of all, giving the possibility to experts coming from all EU and globally to meet every year during the annual event in Ferrara, in the northeast of Italy. An event capable to attract thousands of national and international experts from public and private sector who operates permanently, developing thoughts, projects, proposals to support the countries and the EU. Second, improving every day our platforms to ensure international confrontation and for the enhancement of innovations and startups. Third, improving also our platforms, the online platforms, for the enhancement of specialized companies and technologies in collaboration with all the EU associations. and also contributing and promoting new training courses dedicated especially to managers on the topics of remediation, of mining, regeneration, and sustainable progress of Europe. Collecting and sharing information and writing scientific and technical volumes downloadable for free going on our website. And more, creating experiences laboratories for students, for school, the young heroes of the planet, on the way of sustainability and resources, due to the fact that we need also to improve a new cultural approach to the future scenarios. And then awarding to students, awarding to companies, to associations, to authorities that have distinguished themselves in the main topic of planet protection, with the aim to represent an example, or better than that, a model. And finally, going on the territories and work in the way of proximity. As the experience we have in Taranto Eco Forum, an annual appointment in Taranto, that is in the southeast of Italy, in Puglia region, where important funds are arriving thanks the EU Just Transition Funds. And to conclude, participating in the global COP debates, as we did in COP28 in Dubai, in COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan, and during the G7 in Torino, Italy, with debates and conferences on the thematic of cities, territories, and sustainable approach to the third millennium. That's what we do and what we will continue to do as part of the system that can stimulate experts community to move deeper and to find new solutions. This year in Ferrara, in September, during RemTech, we will potentiate the focus on mining, organizing the International General States of Mining and Urban Mining and Resources, with conferences, debates, cases, producing a summary document and giving to this crucial topic a permanent house for living and growing. It will be on the 19th of September, and of course, Susana Solís and David and all the others, you all are invited not to participate, but to be part of it. One community, one force, one success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this first session. I think we are now going to part 2. It was already very open, very intense, and a lot of good ideas. So I hope the debate will kick off soon. Thank you very much.
Hello everyone, good morning. So we're going into this new session, which will be, let's say, a roundtable session, and I hope a more dynamic session with all of you guys. And this is a really important event for us as geologists, because, as has been said before, we think we can really play a pivotal role for the society and give, all the regulators support in identifying solutions for this, let's say, transition we are facing at the moment. I'm Rudy Ruggeri. I am the member of the Italian National Council of Geologists and delegate from CNG to the EFG. I want also to thank Susana Pérez for giving us this opportunity really to speak about this modern issue, and we hope that the reflection that will come up with this roundtable with you, all of you guys, will be a tool for regulators, and take this tool, take these reflections, and be used like fostering, this kind of new legislation around urban mining, which is something that we need to think about, and that is very connected to the Critical Mineral Act. So how it works this session? We are going to have outstanding speakers now. I will introduce them and will pose a strategic, let's say, question about urban mining, and they will give us, let's say, 5-6 minutes more, no more, answers, because we are a little bit tight with the timing. And then I ask you to think about any kind of questions you might have, and maybe ask Anita to collect the questions, and we would like to carve out 10 minutes at the end of this session, just giving you the opportunity to raise questions that you want to pull out from your chest, okay? Right, so the first speaker is Christian Bourlet, geologist, Geological Survey of Belgium. Christian is, of course, is a geologist, and from 2002, from University of Liège. He started in 2007 at the Geological Survey of Belgium. He worked in many projects in Africa and on mineral and spectroscopy on some metals as well. He has a vast experience in mining, and then worked as in an Eurogeosurveys Minerals and Raw Material Expert Group, and is really an active, let's say, actor of what is going to happen around, let's say, the urban mining. And so we are happy to pose him this question, and then I ask him to get here to give an answer on this. And the question we want to ask you is, how can geological mapping and assessment of secondary raw materials improve the efficiency and scalability of urban mining initiatives? So, I'm here, yeah. 5 minutes.
Yeah. I'm Italian, but I stay German in this case.
Thank you very much, and thank you for Anita and the Federation of Geologists to invite me. So yeah, the question about the interest of geological mapping in urban mining. So I thought a bit about that because it's not a direct link. Urban mining are man-made deposits. So why should necessarily geologists work on that? And Mr. Bogoni already introduced that. In fact, there are many links between urban and man-made mining deposits and the natural ones that can help, where geoscientists, geologists, mining engineers, and so on can really help bringing those occurrences, because we know there are precious metal in those deposits, from the resource standpoint to a reserve, by really quantifying the amount of material there is and the form they are in. Are they really recuperable by classic recycling or recuperation techniques? And at the university I work also in parallel with the Geological Survey. The team of the GEM team, I will speak about this Belgian example. They are working on the concept of geometallurgy, which is using geological properties of material to improve the metallurgic recuperation process. And they are now applying the same technique, so studying samples of urban deposits. The example, the classic example is, for example, automotive catalyst converter. These material coming from cars, they have been stockpiled in waste fields since decades, and now geologists are studying those material as rocks, because these are very complex. The technology evolution of catalyst has changed through the years, so you have almost a stratigraphy of this deposit from the bottom of the waste to the top. which varies in composition. And when you look at these deposits, you find concentration in platinum, palladium, or rhodium that are sometimes 200 times more than the mine, the natural mine that we are using now, like in South Africa. So it's a real interest, and these are very complex. So they use the exact same techniques of investigation, of scientific investigation, to improve the process of recuperation. That's really one of the examples that I wanted to give. The other one is also for mapping, for really regional mapping. We have a project about finding hotspots in ancient mine, and hotspot of germanium or gallium for ancient mine in Belgium, in ancient zinc mine. And now we realize that because they are ancient mine, the tailings and the smelters are quite close to these small scale mining. And if we find hotspots in the geological context, probably those elements can be found also in the smelters deposit, in the tailings. So you can associate geological data, natural geological data, with a prospectivity map of hotspot of raw material in man-made deposits. This is two examples of how really classic geological technique can help with urban mining.
Thank you, Christian. It has been very nice and important, let's say, reflection on how geologists can help on this sector. So let me introduce the next speaker. Then is Marco Falconi, RemTech Europe, Scientific Coordinator, INPEL Chair. Marco holds 2 degrees in Environmental Science and Geology. He's working at ISPRA, Haiger Institute of Environmental Protection and Research. His main activity in ISPRA is to support the Ministry of Environment, Land and Sea, in technical control, characterization plan, risk analysis, remediation, and monitoring. And so it's I think, very vast experience in remediation and all that kind of stuff. So let's pose the question then to Marco, and how the results obtained by INPEL researches can be utilized for a better and more sustainable usage of backfill materials. Up to you.
Thank you very much, Rudy, and thank you all for inviting me here in this context. We are honored to have a member of the European Parliament and happy to be part of this panel. As Europe advances towards circular economy, the needs of an evidence-based actionable policy has never been more pressing. At the heart of this transformation lies INPEL, the European Union Environmental Network for the Implementation and Enforcement of Environmental Law. INPEL unites inspectorates, environmental authorities, ministries of environment across Europe to make environmental legislation more effective in the ground. Its waste management and circular economy project exemplifies how targeted research and regulatory innovation can reshape how we manage materials and urban resources. Through INPEL lens, urban mining is not a distant ideal, but a concrete opportunity. With cities producing vast quantities of complex waste, construction debris, electronics, textiles, we're not just speaking about the construction demolition waste, these materials must be seen as a valuable secondary raw material. Urban mining, if properly managed, can reduce dependence on virgin materials, cut emissions and foster local innovation. A key enabler is INPEL End of Waste Database, a tool that brings legal clarity and market confidence to the moment when waste becomes a resource. Sector-specific guidance supports cities in handling plastic, organic and textile wastes, always with the goal of turning local challenges into circular opportunity. None of this is possible without oversight, so INPEL's risk-based inspection plans and exploration of artificial intelligence allow for smarter inspection and real-time detection of illegal dumping, enforcement more targeted and effective. Equally important are the systemic shifts INPEL supports its framework and for new business model, repair hubs, take-back schemes and reuse network, help cities to create economies where products are designed to last, and the circularity became practical, not aspirational. The European perspective is well illustrated by also a national action that I want to quote in Italy. The new ISPRA guideline for managing backfill materials provide a clear science-based model for treating backfill materials and residues, not as a waste, but as a resource. The guideline uses a three-phase approach: identification, characterization, and risk assessment and risk management, to offer cities a replicable, cost-effective, and safe pathway for reusing backfill material as a construction material that are also good because let me tell that the backfill materials are very poor in general of organic content, so are good construction material. They help distinguish clearly between soil, usable backfill, and actual waste, ensuring valuable materials are not discarded. With proper testing and risk assessment, even materials exceeding threshold can be reused under conditions like capping, preserving resources while protecting health and environment. In practical terms, this allows cities to reduce landfill use, cut remediation costs, and reintegrate recovered material into infrastructure projects, a crucial step in achieving circularity at scale. And geologists could be protagonists. Together, Impulse, European Vision, and Italy National Innovation show that urban waste can become a powerful driver of economic resilience, environmental protection, and industrial competitiveness. The time has come to move from potential to implementation, to make circular cities not just a vision, but a shared reality across the European Union. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marco. I think we are in a very good timing. Now is the turn for Marta Cerati, is the Communication and ESG Director at Atlantic Copper. Marta has a bachelor's degree in Business Administration Management from the prestigious Luis Carl University in Italy. She also holds a master's degree in Marketing Management from the same institution, a master's degree in Digital Marketing and e-commerce from the Business School. She has held a significant position, including Executive Manager of Aminer and General Secretary of the 5th Mining and Minerals Hall. She also has worked in marketing and communication departments within the mining sector at companies such as Mezzo, Rocha Blast Engineers. She also led business development and Baker Electronics Spain. So let's go through the question then for Marta, which is from an industry perspective, what are the biggest challenges and opportunities in integrating secondary raw materials into existing production processes? Marta, up to you.
Good morning. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Susana Solís and all the organization for inviting me here. It's a pleasure to be with you at this event during the European Green Week. And well, speaking about challenges and opportunities, I have a short list of points from my experience and due to what we are doing at Atlantic Copper. What about challenges? Well, of course, high investments, but also the needs to increase research and development, because innovation is a key factor for our industry. And also we need an appropriate regulatory framework to increase our industry competitiveness. Also, we have a lack of availability of copper scrap and processed e-waste because the unfair competition from countries from outside the European Union, where there are lower environmental and social standards. In order to improve our capacity to recover copper and precious metals from secondary raw materials, we need the support of the European Union to compete at the same level of these countries outside Europe. For example, Atlantic Copper with other European company, other European smelters,
with Eurometo and the International Copper Association, we have raised recently a call for action to the European Union because we need to expand collection points in Europe and also harmonize waste rules across the European Union. And also we need to facilitate waste shipment among the member states. And last but not least, we need to prevent illegal waste exports. At the moment we have a quite huge problem in this case. And what about opportunities? Of course, we see in urban mining the opportunity of development a sustainable industrial system aligned with European decarbonization goals to increase energy autonomy in an environmental and friendly way, of course. This is a key point for our industry. And also we have to think at the creation of green and local jobs that is possible due to this kind of projects. And also leading the industrial change. We need to have a high competitiveness in our sector. It's something that Mario Draghi says a few months ago in his report. And of course, I have to speak as innovation about opportunity, because innovation it's not just a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. And why I have this analysis, because of what we do at Atlantic Copper. For people that doesn't know, we are a metallurgical complex in Huelva, in the south of Spain, very close to Portugal, and our primary activity is the production of high purity refined copper from ore. Our circular project, declared a strategic last March by the European Commission, consists of incorporating innovative technology into the existing production process of our smelter. This initiative aims to process 60,000 tons per year of e-materials, recovering valuable metals as copper, nickel, platinum, palladium, silver, gold, or tin as an example, and using the energy generated in the process. We promote, of course, green local jobs, about 350 direct and indirect jobs, and also we are aligned with the environmental sustainability goals, including the European Green Deal and the Next Generation European Plan. Circular is the result of 3 years of research and development, and the execution of it is essential to improve our competitiveness, in addition to achieve the goals of Critical Raw Material Act. We have to think that Europe imports 40% of copper consumption. It's about 4.2 million tons per year, and Circular will produce 12,600 tons per year to introduce in our smelting process. So we can help to have more raw materials by recycling it. Thank you.
Thank you, Marta, also, and thank you all the speakers. We are saving some time, which is good. Being very concise, which is very good. Thank you. The next speaker is Nino Tarantino, Government Sub-Commissioner for Land Reclamation, Italian member of the European Impel Network. Nino is a worker previously in the State Police, in the State Forestry Corps, and today is at the Carabinieri. He holds also the rank of Lieutenant Colonel. Congratulations. And since 2017 he has been serving the Office of Special Commissioner for Remediation, so he has a vast experience in remediation. He's one of the strategic PMs of this structure that is governing, let's say, a lot of remediation sites, big remediation sites in Italy. So it's good to have you here, Nino, and then we want to pose you this question. What are the good practices you learn about recycling materials in managing contaminated soils? We know that we have also, in contaminated soils, you have some materials that could be recycled. So how is what you have understood on doing that? Thank you.
Good morning. I want to thank European Parliament, Susana Solís Pérez, the organization of this important event. Good. Like every event, when I speak in a different from Italian language, we must know that my English is not fantastic. So, sorry for this. I am Nino Tarantino, Lieutenant Colonel and Sub-Commissioner, and today I want to talk to you about a topic of a great importance, urban mining with a particular focus on landfill mining. This innovative solution that our country, throughout the structure of the unique Commissioner for Remediation, is promoting to tackle the problems related to landfills and contaminated sites. My office works with the last piece of circular economy, landfill, critical sites, etc. In Italy, as we know, many irregular and illegal landfills were created in past without proper planning and management. Today, we face the necessity of remediating these sites, not only to ensure environmental protection, but also to reuse the resources contained within them. Landfill mining represents an opportunity to remove waste from landfills, recovering recyclable and reusable materials. This not only allows us to preserve our virgin land, but also provides us with the possibility to maximize the recovery of components within the waste body. Our concrete experience has shown us that it is possible to carry out remediation or permanent safety measures starting from landfills or contaminated sites using recycled materials. A significant example is in Pizzo Calabro in the south of Italy, where we managed to conduct a very targeted remediation intervention. Throughout processes of screening, manual selection, and differentiation of waste by type and physical-chemical characteristics, we were able to optimize the intervention. In this case, the waste body was screened, separating sand and contaminated soil, subsequently treated throughout soil washing from actual waste, mainly consisting of iron, glass, plastic, and other. These materials were recovered and recycled to the fullest extent, thus contribute for a real contribute to environmental sustainability. From our perspective, we believe that if a public entity can govern the logic of market assignments for services and works, it can organize tenders for better technological and organizational capabilities of the most performing economic operators. It is possible to introduce reward points and positive evaluations for companies that deliver the least amount of waste to landfills, who generate less waste and who reuse the highest number of materials at other construction sites. This approach not only stimulated innovation, but also promotes a culture of sustainability. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of the geologist's role in all these processes. Their expertise is crucial for ensuring professionalism and proper implementation of interventions, guaranteeing that environmental parameters and necessary safety measures are respected. Without their experience, our ability to effectively manage remediation processes would be significantly compromised. In conclusion, urban mining, and in particular landfill mining, represent a fundamental step towards a more sustainable future. By working together, we can not only restore the environment, but also transform waste into valuable resources. In our experience, good practices related to recycling and recovery of material in management of potentially contaminated land is to organize tenders that allow to minimize the material that comes from outside to maximize the use of the material that is already on site, favoring all technologies and organizational methods that recycle the critical material after having treated, cleaned or washed it. It is strategic to improve collaboration between politics, industry and science to drive innovation and investment in urban mining. All this can be done with one or more collaboration platforms, technical tables or intersectoral work which bring together representatives of politics, economics, universities to promote regular dialogue and share ideas, projects and resources. Finally, promote research and development through ad hoc funding and incentives where the integration between public and private funds is ideal. Let me say one last thing. As a representative of a police force in Italy, we must pay close attention to the possible connection between waste and crime. The market of regeneration, urban mining and reuse of what was previously waste must be managed with rigor and attention to avoid the creation of distortion, illegality and environmental crimes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nino. Really interesting, let's say, speech about the importance of governing properly, let's say, the remediation matter also from the panel standpoint. So, last but not least, let me introduce Vanessa Montoya. Vanessa is a doctor in chemistry and environmental science with over 18 years of international experience in radioactive waste management, environmental science and sustainable resource strategies. She worked across academia, industry and research institutes in Spain, Germany and Belgium. Vanessa has coordinated and contributed to the numerous European funded projects and played a key role in the development of Horizon Europe FIC-Fighters project, which is very important and is part of this question that we want to pose you. And then if you want to speak also a little bit more about FIC-Fighters, and you can see the banner of this project, which is really important for Europe and for the European Federation of Geologists as well. So the question for you, Vanessa, is how can your research and FIC-Fighters project contribute to fostering the recovery of secondary raw materials in cities? Over to you.
First of all, thank you very much for the invitation, for being here and explain you a bit more about the FIC-Fighters project. As mentioned, you have here a panel seeing what is a bit the project about, that I will do a short introduction that you know what is the project about. So the project of FIC-Fighters, European project, just started 1 year ago. And in that case, the main goal is to valorize phosphogypsum waste. So for those of you that are not familiar with phosphogypsum waste, so phosphogypsum is a waste that is generated in the fertilizer industry, and this is nowadays considered waste. What we are doing, what are the current solutions for this waste is to put it in landfills, no? So of course, all of you know, so to put the waste in landfills is something that can have some risk, no? In that case, like environmental contamination, and of course the position of the people living close by. No? As mentioned, this is something that is produced by the fertilizer industry, so this is normally landfills that are close to big cities. Just something that is very characteristic of this waste, this kind of waste is considered non-waste. Non-waste means naturally occurring radioactive material. So this material is radioactive. So in that case, we need to have low radioactivity, but still radioactive. So then, of course, we need to be sure that this is going on in this landfill according to regulations and so. But with FIC-Fighters, we find other solutions. We think this is there are better solutions to that, because as nowadays this is considered waste, we can recover some materials, some raw materials that are very important. For example, in this kind of waste, we have rare earth elements, phosphor, that are part of the critical materials or are considered critical materials by the European Union. So just to give you some value, so we are not speaking a small amount of waste, so this is produced in very big tons worldwide, but we can speak about 28 million tons of waste, post-production waste that is generated. And there are many countries in Europe facing these challenges. For example, in the project, we have countries involved like Portugal, Croatia, Serbia, North Macedonia, Spain, Belgium. So in that case, we see that this is something that is affecting. And in fact, also to give you some numbers from these countries, probably Spain is the one that produces more phosphoration due to the big industries on fertilizers. So as mentioned, we can recover, so the idea of the FIC-Fighter project is like to recover this raw material that are part of the waste, and how we are doing that. So basically, within the project, we are we are designing 2 pilot plants situated in 2 different cities. So one in Sevilla, Spain, and one in Turku, in Finland. And then we are using 2 different chemical routes in order to recover this material. So this is what we are doing within the project. We are also making the characterization of this waste, but also what is really important is that in this project all different actors are working together. So we are not only scientists, I'm a scientist, so there is also the industry, big industries involved in the project, and small industry as well, regulatory bodies, that everybody can say something about what to do with the project. So what we are mainly doing is to have new innovation within the project. So by the design of this pilot plants, but in an open consortium where all the actors that are involved can say something and can say what we want to do with this waste. So which solutions we are going to recover these raw materials for this non-waste that is generated mainly by the fertilizer industry. So this is more or less what I wanted to tell you about the FIC-Fighters. Now you know a bit more. So yeah, and this is what we are trying to do in order to recover the raw materials from the production.
Thank you very much. So, thank you very much, speakers. So all panelists have been very diligent in sticking with the time. Just perfectly, we have 10 minutes opening some questions or reflections that you guys have made listening so what they've said. So if you have questions, so for any panelist you want to raise, come here. Yep.
So then everyone can. Oh, there is a microphone. Oh, anyway.
Good morning. Is it working? No. Okay. Good morning. Thank you very much for inviting me for this event. I'm Dave Finke from the Aggregates Europe Association. So we are producing 3 billion tons of aggregates for the built infrastructure, and we recycle already 300 million tons. But this is more the urban context, and we're talking about urban mining. But what about the countrysides? Because transport distance matters when it comes to very bulky material. So I think a lot of objectives are clear for urban mining, but I'm missing here the landscape.
Yeah, maybe someone from your side want to give an answer for that? No one has any reflection on this? David?
So I answer more as a mining geologist here. So I think so this is really an important topic, transportation, and who deals with mining is used to think about transportation. So I think a lot depends on the value of the material. For part of the high value materials, transportation for sure will not be a problem. I mean, but you were talking more about the impact.
The quarrying industry, not the mining industry. So the quarrying is sand, gravel, aggregates, brush rock.
Yes, also for aggregates. So you have already part of the legislation that requires recycled material. We were discussing, for example, in Italy, 70% of the material used in the backfilling for road construction has to come from recycled materials. So I think this is already embedded in the legislation, and what we are still missing are the numbers to do this. So there are critical points in this, but I don't think transportation is one of the critical points, because normally the transportation is really part of the industry. So already now from quarries, aggregate quarries, you have transportation to the sites. So I don't think it changed too much. In some cases you may have less transportation, in some cases more. And normally the byproducts of the industry are already transported around. So what cannot be used, let's say from the quarry to the production plant, for example, for lime industry, cement industry, what doesn't go in the primary production, the byproducts are already transferred in different, not very far, but anyway regionally they travel in order to use them.
So what you're saying, the restriction on transport which applied to primary would also apply to the secondary raw materials? Is that correct?
No, I didn't.
The restrictions.
The restriction on transport distances in our case for primary is 30 to 50 kilometers on roads.
I think the transportation is part of the feasibility of the reuse, and mainly, of course, there is an impact of transportation, but I mean, primary is the financial limitation. So if you move more than a certain number of kilometers, that material is not sustainable anymore. So that I think is a kind of market assessment on the distance that the recycled material can reach.
Which would apply for secondary raw materials too, right?
Yes, too. The difference can lay in the legislation. So if, like I was mentioning for Italy, if the legislation supports the secondary raw materials, and in a backfilling you are forced to use 70% of recycled material, so the distance that material would be able to reach would be larger than the primary material.
So it takes much time, but then we could come from a challenge on the finances side, because the material is low value and therefore cannot be transported much longer. But if you say the material should have higher value, in that case for secondary raw materials, we will transport longer distance, but we will have much more CO2 emission with the transport. Because the challenge and the restriction here is in transport and the CO2 emission, not the economic value of it.
I think it will be like a balance. So you have, for sure you have emission in the transportation, but this will balance with the emission that they are not produced in the primary material. I think it's a kind of balance between the different components, and these are a kind of market assessment. But what I really change are the regulation for me, because those are, part of the regulation also influence the financial side, because the primary material is sold for a price. Normally the secondary material go out with a lower price, and that also adjusts the financial side.
If I can intervene in this, I think that is a classic, reflection that we need to pick up and then ask, the regulators to help us to try to find the solutions. And this is exactly the objective of being today here. So the collaboration between industry, professionals, regulators, so find a solution where we see a gap and then try to fix this gap into the regulation so this could be clear. So thank you very much for raising this question. And Marco, you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I want to add one specific case. We have, for instance, similar the problem of down sediments. No, you know, down sediments are a problem. No, and we have to manage them in some way. We have to create the condition to use those materials, because otherwise, let's say, we want also to save our resources. And I think, for instance, select materials that could be valuable. For instance, with a plant that could be on site, maybe you are interested in gravel and sand and not in clay and silt, for instance. And low provisions that, as we have in Italy, provides with the CAM, it's the Italian acronym. Minimum criteria for construction. No, we need to use 70% as mentioned by Danny, or facilitate the permission, because this is a sustainable way to deal with sediments and let's say getting back materials. And then we have to evaluate in the economy. You mentioned the economy as a limit for this. The other advantage that we have, water resources. Water will be more scarce in future. So collaboration also by water authorities, so on the financial point of view, could be the solution. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Marco. We have another question there. For the panelists, more than for me.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Susana Solís, for organizing this interesting event. Cynthia Mestanza, representing the European mining industry. Circular economy has been inherent in our processes for many years now, and even more now due to the geopolitical scenario. And just wondering that we know that the permitting it's an enormous barrier for our sector. And just wondering what is the state of play, or what is your flavor so far regarding permits for secondary materials and for urban mining in this specific case. We know that the Critical Raw Material Act aims to streamline permitting procedures for those who have been granted, but what about the rest of the raw materials? Thank you.
So someone want to recap this question around permitting? Marta?
Thank you, Cynthia, for your question. What I have to say, and it's important, we don't have concentrate, especially copper concentrate in Europe. We have to import it. So for me, permitting is a very crucial part of our job, of our industry, because we are speaking here about circular economy. Of course, it's very important. It's regulated in the Critical Raw Material Act, but we need to think about, we need mines. Mines are essential. Circular economy, it's not enough to have a sustainable future with all the copper and metals necessity we have. Well, at the moment in Spain, we are seeing that maybe we are starting opening new mines. Last Friday we have a very important moment with the Aznalcóllar mines from Grupo Mexico that have the permitting after 12 years, and it's not possible. In the sector, we are thinking that well, it's Critical Raw Material Act maybe will help the permitting because it's about to do it in 27 months, but I think it's not enough to have a directive to have a paper. The problem is the organization of the European Commission, of the member states, and so on. We need to be more connected and to work more on this. In Spain, for example, we're still having lots of problems with ecologists. It's not possible that them can stop important projects as the Aznalcóllar one. Aznalcóllar is a place, for some of you that doesn't know, where there is almost nothing. They lived with the mines historically, and now they have no jobs, nothing. They wanted the mines. It's a future for the rural area. So I think we need to push a bit more all together, all the member states with the European Union, to make the permitting possible in 27 months. I don't know, Cynthia, if it's fine for you.
Yeah, just having a comment. Of course, we are here in the heart of the European institutions, and the European Parliament set up directives, and then the directives cascading into the various countries in Europe have been implemented. But then there are differences country by country. There are different sensitivities, different kind of implementation of laws. So you can find openness in some countries and strict regulation in other countries, even though the mother is one directive. And that is, I think, what you are mentioning. Really, the permits sometimes really depend on the application and interpretation locally of the regulation. And that is something that should be, in a seamless way across the region. So all Europe, and in reality, there is different interpretation, country by country and province by province within the same country. So that is a kind of more complication. So. Thank you very much. I think we are sticking with the right time, and I think I can say this session is closed, and then I want to pass my word to Anita for the closing remarks and call to action. Thank you.
Thank you very much to all of the panelists. I think it was really fascinating to hear all your insights and all these examples of innovation. And I think we are a bit short on time, because I heard that we really need to leave the room at 9:30 sharp. So I would, without further ado, invite MEP Susana Solís to share with us the closing remarks. What were your impressions from this session, from all the insights that we heard from the different speakers? And
Okay, I will try, because I have said at the beginning I'm here to learn. And in fact, I have learned a lot, and I would like to take all these takeaways back to my office. First of all, thank you for this enriching conversation. One message is for me clear. Urban mining is not a concept of the future, it is a necessity for today. But for it to become a true lever for strategic autonomy, we need to act at every level, and we need to act together. So I have some takeaways for today. First, that geologists are indispensable to making urban mining a reality. You said before, we cannot manage what we do not map. Not all waste is equal, and no investments can succeed without trusted professionals. So we need to identify and quantify deposits. We need to develop recovery models and certify urban models and urban deposits. Regarding this last point about regulation, and we need regulation coherence, and I think it was very clear during this debate. We have different implementations of laws, and without a harmonized and simplified legislative framework, we will never unlock the full potential of secondary raw materials. About permitting, it is true, the permitting is something we have to work on from the legislative perspective. The Critical Raw Materials Act has spotted this issue. Now strategic projects have this streamline. Let's see if we comply with 27 months. But I think we should extend this streamline to more projects, not only strategic projects, because we need to boost and push circular economy, and permitting cannot be a stone in our path. So it's something that is a takeaway from the day. And to find solutions when we see a gap or a barrier like this you have mentioned today. So everything is clear that we need to work on. Then my third message is we must scale up. We have seen this project FIC-Fighters that I have learned before, and it's wonderful. We need larger and better connected projects, modern infrastructure, and strong public-private partnerships to make urban mining viable at industrial scale. The most important for me, we must improve coordination. The Circular Economy Act will come to this Parliament, and we have to work together between EU institutions, member states, local authorities, academia, and industry. And I hope we can work together. My commitment as a member of the European Parliament, working on the MV and committees, is to make these priorities both visible and actionable. So I will make sure urban mining are fully embedded in our industrial policy, in our environmental agenda, and in our funding frameworks. My last words is something that I have heard. Europe cannot afford to throw away its most precious resources, not lithium, not copper, not phosphorus. Let's not waste this opportunity. My doors are open. Thank you so much for this organization. I want to thank also another MEP here, as Spanish MEP, Diego Saler, for sharing with us this breakfast. I think I can speak on behalf of you, Diego, but our doors are open. All political groups will work together to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Susana Solís, for your closing words. I think, thanks a lot for your commitment also, and I think your collaboration is really one of the key words that we could hear today, and we look forward to collaborating further with you in the coming weeks and months around this topic. And then I would invite David Govoni also to share with us your takeaway messages from today.
So let me really say thank you to all of you for being here. It's really an honor for us as European Federation to be here at the Parliament, and thank you, Susana Solís, for your work and availability, because this was really made possible through your help and all your staff that was really great in collaborating with us. I just noted down some actions we would like to make a call on policymakers and a call for all of us, points that we think are important. And they are very practical points. The first are that urban regeneration and demolition plan should integrate geoscientific audits, and this is a part of what we are thinking and planning for the Circular Economy Act. Then that land reclamation initiative and requires subsurface resource screening, and this is also somewhat connected to what Nino Tarantino explained in his speech. And then third, that certified geoscience professionals are embedded in regulation as competent person, and for the quantitative estimation of urban research. This, we think, it's really a key point and something where our federation is trying to stress on different tables. In the word of Commission Roosevelt, this is the moment Europe must actually go circular. So, as geoscientists, we will try our best and to make sure that geoscience is the art in the art of this transition. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David, for the closing words. And then last but not least, I would also like to invite Silvia Paparella to join us here and to share her insights from the debate today.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Anita. Thank you again, Susana Solís, for this great opportunity. Just a few bullet points. The first one, I wrote a lot during the meeting. The first one, we could work stronger, and we have to be able to generate a permanent dialogue between experts the industries, so the technologies, and the political system to improve competitiveness of Europe in this topic. We need to push on the EU accelerator, knowing that we have technologies, we have knowledges, competencies, and working also in finding a common strategy and one vision. We need, as we already said during the morning, one strategy, a clear regulatory system for permitting us to know who are the protagonists, who are the actors of this system, to know which are the materials available, where they are, how they can be moved, and where, and to do what. So we have to have a clear map. How is going to manage, who is going to manage materials, and the cost, and of course the benefit. Thanks a lot for the opportunity, and my commitment, as I said in my previous speech, is the general state of mining in Ferrara in September. Please, Mrs. Solís, you are very welcome in Italy to open the discussion, just to take care about this dialogue, this debate, and try to move ahead on a circular economy for European people and countries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Silvia, and thanks again to all the speakers, to the roundtable participants, and in particular again also thanks a lot to MEP Susana Solís for hosting the event and for the wonderful support received from all the staff, from all the team. And as we need really to close the event, I would just like also to extend an invitation to all of you to share any thoughts, any ideas on the topics we discussed today. Feel free to share them via email. I think all of you have my email address, and we will be very happy to analyze those thoughts and continue the dialogue with the European Parliament, with the other European institutions, and to foster this collaboration among stakeholders. So thank you very much to all of you again for joining, and looking forward to further opportunities to collaborate.